Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Today, we are going to be taking a look at any decks that have funded in the past week, as well as any new decks that have launched in the past week, and any decks ending in the next 7 days. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. So, let's kick into Kickstarter. First up...
Kick into Kickstarter, huh?
First up, congratulations to the Solo Kid Gilded playing cards for funding. Congratulations to Eternal Rain for funding.
Crushing it.
Congratulations to Von Art Illustrated playing cards for funding. Congratulations to Poisonous Floriography for funding. Congratulations to Hellcats playing cards for funding. And congratulations for Legendary playing cards in 4 Directions for funding. Then ending this week, so make sure to check these out, we have Lit playing cards V2. We have Floral Patterns playing cards, Warrior playing cards by RJ, the Shiba Seigaiha Japanese playing cards, apologies on the pronunciation there, the Elevation playing cards Night Edition, and the Natives playing cards. So let's take a look at what has come onto Kickstarter in the past 7 days. First up, we have Arena playing cards. These look like they're actually doing a long campaign here. They might have just launched yesterday, so a 60-day campaign with a pretty high goal for a first deck. Just taking a quick look at it, I'm assuming hopefully they have multiple editions. I do like the color of it. It's an interesting pattern.
What did they say, the story? What's the story?
Illustration and magic combination into a single piece of art.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
You know what that looks like? That reminds me of like the Snitch from Harry Potter.
It does kind of look like the Snitch from Harry Potter, yeah. Or like even like a
Snitch deck.
or even like some sort of like variation on like a prop from a propeller plane, you know? It's interesting
Like
though. I mean,
a funky propeller plane, yeah.
yeah, it's interesting to see. So what do they charge?
$17 a deck.
21 shipped for a single deck. Yeah, that's a little high.
People, watch these videos, man.
So this is definitely incorrect here. They messed up the shipping on this one. 54 euros for shipping on 2 decks. I'm assuming that should be 4 euros, but that's something they should definitely...
Or 5 euros.
Yeah, 4 or 5. I don't know how there's 2 backers on that one either. That's crazy. Again, make sure you're make sure you're double checking everything. It looks like 4 euros is the standard shipping on this. So you're looking at 51 for 3 decks. Better than the 21 for 1, but
7% discount.
Yeah, that's kind of like an odd discount number. Off retail, I mean, that's one of the big things too when you go from like Kickstarter to retail. You always see a pretty decent jump there. Like the purpose of Kickstarter is you're giving someone a benefit to back you early instead of getting it at retail. 7% seems a little out there. You'd probably be better off around that like 15 to 25% below what you consider your actual retail. 2,500 runs, so that does explain at least the higher cost goal. I'm curious though why they picked 2,500. I think as a first run, and I think this is something that, you know, kind of Jackson brought up in our last Deckin Around episode, was as few as possible to get a successful Kickstarter on your first attempt. On this one, 1,000 decks would have been better if you're really dead set on going USPCC, or a smaller run if you went with someone like NPC. But
I mean, I'm not. I mean, you know, that's the one thing I disagree with Jackson on is going for 10 decks at NPC. Like, there's no point in it. But to have 2,500 decks here is ridiculous. I think 1,000 decks would be good. That would put you out the door for what, $4,000 for, you know, that's obviously
maybe 5 with
probably
fulfillment.
High.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just deck wise, I'm thinking, you know, let's say $5,000.
Yeah.
You know, $12,000. I don't. Not with that price point, and
again, at first, it's an unknown creator for the most part. Again, I think the deck has potential. It also looks like it's using not standard quartz, but nothing, you know, relatively standard. I don't see any custom quartz different font on the indices, larger pips on the central aces. But again, it's nothing too crazy. They are looking to do gold metallic ink for the line work out the gate. Linen finish to secure. Okay. And this one right here, customs aces and jokers. Like, I intend to keep them secret for the sake of mystery and surprise, but I hate to say it, that's one thing that does not work out in anyone's favor on Kickstarter. Unless you are well known for amazing decks, like a mystery as your first kind of sell point is going to be harmful to the campaign.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many people that can get away with that. There's probably 5 designers that can get away with that.
Yeah, and that's because they have very well-established reputations. I like the back on this. I think it has potential. I like the idea of that being gold metallic ink, though the renders look more yellow, and I actually kind of like the yellow. But I think that's something that, even if this doesn't fund, I hope they bring it back to the table with a little more thought into the print run size. 2,500 as your first deck, you're going to be, if you skirt by with funding at 11.6, you're going to be holding on to a lot of decks for a long time, and that ends up costing you in the long run. So,
yeah, and this deck shouldn't be more than $12.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah. Well, the metallic ink might bump it up a little bit, maybe like 13, 14, but yeah, not much there.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Sandwich Series playing cards, printed by Cardamundi. These are actually designed by Jason Chang, who recently did the Serpent deck. Well, not recently, earlier this year, designed and funded the Serpent deck. This has been something that's been in the works for a while. Jason actually
His renders are so good. He's so good at rendering. It's like ridiculous.
And like it's funny because this could have easily been a different tuck box and standardized deck across the board, but each deck is unique to the theme and how it plays into the larger whole, which I think is amazing on his part.
Yeah, he's very creative for sure.
Early bird shipped to 17, but again, it's a little high.
He's going Cardamundi though, yeah.
But yeah, coming in at a Cardamundi.
So shipping is gonna, it's a little.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's really getting the hit, because the decks are 11 a piece, so you're looking at $6 shipping. All things considered, that's not bad.
I mean, $11 for the deck is like, that's a perfect price point.
Yeah, same with the standard price is 13. So like early bird gets you 11, standard gets you 13.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
That's not bad.
It's a very unique looking deck. The theme's kind of cool. If you're into like sandwiches, spam, breakfast foods, like this is a deck you definitely don't want to miss. I think it's got a lot of like nostalgic and like a cute appeal, I guess you could say, to it. Like it's definitely a unique deck.
Novelty deck.
Yeah, which, and I love. I do have to say, I'm not a huge fan of the court style there, where it's really next to each other versus that kind of flow from the top to the bottom. But like, I do like his drawing style. I think he has a really nice touch to it. I think they're kind of like interestingly cartoonish, which is very cool. Yeah, I mean, Jason is a phenomenal.
So creative. He's just so creative.
He really is a phenomenal designer. I love the Ace of Spades. Yeah. I like the variation, and this is something you don't always see executed well too, is the variation on the different like suits in food, but still using the standard pips so that it's easily identifiable. Like that's a brilliant idea. It still allows you to be creative with your suits without making the usability go down. So nicely done on that. I know he has some pretty interesting specials too. Like, again, he did a great brick box.
He never leaves anything out. He's like,
he has a great, some cool looking fans here. It definitely has. Yeah, I love his, like, just the way he plays it all out with the photographs and like really making it like he touches to the theme. It's not just like, here's a picture of my deck in the woods, here's a picture of my deck in the grass. Yeah. Like, he really plays to the theme that he's going for, and he does it really well. I love the idea that
it totally makes sense.
Yeah, doing the Joker for the bread deck being like a burnt piece of toast and then like a regular piece of bread crust. Like, very well thought out theme on this deck. Yeah. Again, like, if this is your style deck, it's definitely worth it at that price point. A lot of effort's gone into this. I know
Yeah.
one of the things he was looking at too. So yeah, there's some limited editions of it as well to check out. But I know
I
he
like the
was,
box. Cool box.
yeah, I know he was also looking into potentially embossing and whether or not it was worth it. So yeah, and here's
Yeah.
this half brick box, which I think is kind of cool. It almost reminds me of like a meal delivery kit like
Yeah. It's
box.
like if you go to like a sandwich shop or something.
Yeah, you know, a lot of thought went into this. Very neat looking deck. The price point is good. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, based on what it is, I think he did a phenomenal job with this. I'm looking forward to see this get funded and see where he goes next because he's really just like full of so many good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't leave anything out.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
All right. Next up, we have the Pencil Skull playing cards. This is like literally your least favorite theme. I like the artwork though. I think this is actually pretty phenomenal artwork.
Cool,
Um,
cool artwork. Go up. What's the goal?
10,000.
10.
They're doing limited edition 2,000 decks. So that's probably
Man.
the.
Where are they printing?
Uh, I do
Doesn't say.
not see. I mean,
Cool tuck box.
you know, it's definitely a cool tuck. The art is very cool. I like the fact that the tuck looks like it's like crinkled paper there. There's definitely
Looks like
some,
a paper bag.
yeah, like, but like in like an interesting way. Like I love the texturing on this. This is really
I
well
think the
done.
tuck box is one of the coolest tuck boxes I've seen in a while, to be honest.
Yeah, and I love. I
Um,
mean, the artwork itself is phenomenal. Haven't seen anything that's.
that's the card back. So it's a one way.
Yeah, but I think it's still kind of up in the air. For the card backs, we've been thinking about a different design, but it doesn't bother too much of the design of the cards at the front. So they could try and go with a two-way there. Again, though, I'm not necessarily against one-way designs. I think as long as they're done well, like I think that's fine. I do not.
Oh no, I mean I'm totally fine with one way designs as well.
The one thing I don't see though
So
is the printer.
yeah, how much
So
is $7 a deck?
plus shipping. So you're looking at $28 a deck. And they only have either a one deck or a two deck option. This is something we've been seeing a lot recently, and that's super strange. $43 for two decks, that's a lot. I actually, it's a bummer because I really like this deck. I would have backed this deck post show for sure, but that puts it in a kind
I
of
mean,
a
post show you were back in every deck.
yeah. To some extent, I back a lot of decks, but you know, I think I mean I for an unknown creator, I like the style of this. I think it's a really cool looking deck. It's got a realistic but also kind of a fantasy aspect to it, which is really neat. But at that price point, that's tough. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the artwork is super rad. Even not being into skulls, like it's super cool. Um, my only issue when you have something that is like penciled like this, it just looks undone. For me, it's all like a monotone color scheme, kind of, you know.
yeah,
Like you can barely see the women's faces. I mean, I know it's images, so it might be different when you get the deck, but um, it's just, and at that price point, it's just, I mean, $17 a deck, not even including shipping at an unknown printer, and I think a lot of people, like these beginners, they come on here and they're like, they look at a deck of cards, not what's involved in that deck of cards, and they're like, oh, it looks like these decks of cards are going for $17 a deck. That means I can get $17 a deck.
yeah.
And that's just stupid. But I think, you know, what we should be seeing here is, and I don't know the artist or anything like that. You know, 49 backers is a good amount of backers, I think. You know, it's a lot. It's a long campaign,
Yeah.
60 days probably or whatever.
I think the
But
other thing to take into consideration though with this is that like you have a high goal and you only have the ability to buy one or two decks and you haven't put in anything about add-ons, which means that even if everyone buys two decks apiece, you need like a significant amount of backers. I'm not doing math in my head right now, but you need a pretty significant amount of backers to be able to get to your goal, which is tough. You know, if this is really what you want to do a half brick box, do a brick, or make add-ons available because not everyone's going to want just one or two. What if someone wants six? And what do you do then? You're basically leaving on the table 4 potential decks right there. So,
Yeah.
a lot of I mean, listen, I think there's a lot of potential in this one as well. It just clearly wasn't fully thought out. So,
Yeah.
I feel like this will be a quick run through. We've seen these ones before with the Lunar Zodiac. They're doing
Year of the
the
Rabbit,
Year of the
bro,
Rabbit.
that's
Yep,
me.
5 of 12 for the deck series. They recently did, I think, what
Let's
the
see what
ox
this
and the
thing
pig.
looks like.
What's up,
Maybe I should get it. Let's see what it looks like.
dude? It's not bad looking. I love the work they do on the tux here. They really,
These tucks are gorgeous. They
I mean,
really
dude,
are.
look at that embossing on the dragon there. That is
It's awesome.
breathtaking. They really do a phenomenal job with these tucks. They have, I mean, they definitely have a formula down. They know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Not your style. They're very
No.
ornate looking decks, and I think that's kind of the goal with it. But
The tuck box is epic. I mean, it's a dope tuck box.
yeah, and I love the vibrancy of the colors. Like that
Yeah, it's
blue,
beautiful.
just spectacular. And again,
Yeah, it's
you look at
beautiful.
that there, $34 for 2 decks, one limited and one standard. If you want just a standard, it's $19. Like,
Wait, what's the difference between the standard and what is it?
hold on. So the standard is on the right, the limited is on the
Oh,
left.
okay.
So recolors
Wait,
and
go down?
what?
So the standard is the gold one?
Yes.
That one looks more like fancy. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean,
So they're different courts, which is kind of cool.
no, so same courts. If you take a look, like here's the Jack of Hearts on the standard, same thing, the background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really just a recolor to some extent. I don't know if they do any sort of like foiling or anything like that as a difference. I think it does have a different tuck on the standard versus the limited as well. I think the one with all the gold and the really vibrant foils and everything is the limited.
I must be. Yeah, must
So,
be limited.
but again though,
Go down. Go down for right there. Right now. Go up. Right there. So that's the aces. Okay. All right.
So again, for the most part, reasonably priced. You're getting a lot for $19 shipped there. And I think the bricks are pretty reasonably priced as well.
3 pairs right there. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
deck jacket.
So yeah, well, 171 for a brick. That's a little high, but again, for everything that's going into it with the foil and the embossing and everything, that's actually reasonably priced. I think these are printed though with like WJPCC or something like that, or
Taiwan.
Or Taiwan.
Is that the standard? What is
oh, that's the limited here.
Oh, okay.
So the
Dude,
standard
I like
is-
the other one better.
Yeah, so the standard is
Master design. I'm confused, man. I think they messed up. Wait. What's that? Go down.
hold on 1 second. This is the limited. Yeah, this is the limited. Oh, and they're printed by NPCC. So these are the limited. This is the standard, the blue.
Okay, go down. What's okay? There's the backs. All right, cool.
Yeah.
What's next?
I mean, listen, interesting deck, but we've seen these before. They're pretty common at this point. Next up, we got the Wolfram V3 limited edition card set.
I got some questions. I got some questions about this deck and the other two previous ones.
This has already crushed its goal for the most part.
Yeah, I have no like. It just has followers, you know.
Yeah.
It's crushed its goal because it's so expensive.
Oh, jeez, yeah. What are you getting? $60 for
Nothing.
one?
You get that? Yeah, it's for one.
For the love of God. Pass.
Yeah, it's basically like look. So there's the version 2
Okay.
and version 1 below, or I think that's version 1 or 2. So there's 3 versions. The new one's the 3rd. So the one above it,
Yeah.
you go up. That one I think is that's version 1.
Version
Which
1,
is basically
version 2.
It's basically a knock deck.
Yeah.
And version 2, and they just come in like cool boxes, and they're limited. You know,
But, like-
cool box, but dude. So version 1 retails for $85. Version 2 retails for $135.
That's
And
crazy.
that's or the other way around. I don't know which one's which. I mean, I could literally tell you right now. Let's see.
Honestly, I don't see any. Like, listen, I can see a lot of like. Okay, so it comes with a card jacket, or is that an add-on?
It's like a leather. So the version 1 is 135 and version 2 is $80. And they're still available for me to get. So they're
At
not
that
sold
price
out.
point, I'm not
Say it's
surprised by that. I mean, listen, it's if you like this deck, awesome. Like the price point is what it is. They're I guess you're really selling an experience here more so than the cards themselves. The deck of cards looks relatively standard, cool. You get a nice box, you get a nice like card guard or like yeah. I just not for me, not for me. So
super expensive.
yeah,
I don't get it.
only
But whatever.
500 sets available on Kickstarter, limited to.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So they're printing 998, which really means they're printing 1,000, losing 2, and then they're
I
only
mean, they're
selling
probably
half here. Yeah. Not my jam.
yeah.
Color deck. So I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of decks like this.
Yeah, like Spectrum. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of
like
Spectrum.
Spectrum or Gorgeous by Bacopo. I think they
Yeah,
just they fan amazingly, and obviously I'm a fan of fans. So, um, $17 shipped for one deck, not bad considering it's a relatively standard deck. I am not a fan of that back. I mean, it's a mandala someone created in Procreate.
that
Cool.
is not a montage.
Yeah, it is. You can see the 4 quadrant repetition throughout. But either way, that I think actually kind of ruins it more than anything. Um,
Like that.
yeah, I think that there's definitely some ability here to kind of run through this and see.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even the faces on it, like they're not. It's tough to tell, I guess, with this render. The render doesn't necessarily potentially do the cards justice. But yeah, that back design just isn't what I was expecting or hoping for with that. Um, maybe there's some potential for it. But also, I think it's. Who's it printed by? I think it was printed by
MPC.
Yeah, so it's $17 a deck shipped for something that, to me, that back design, you could make that in like 5 minutes on an iPad, is not anything special. So
Yeah, I mean they're looking for 4 grand,
yeah,
30 days.
I mean, who knows? Best of luck to them. Maybe they hit it, but I think there's a lot more
Good luck.
legwork that has to go into the design for this before it's actually ready for production. So
Yeah.
and next up we have
Fresh cuts.
Fresh Cuts. Let's take a look. Fresh Cuts has already hit its goal. It's only a week
Fresh
in,
cuts.
a little bit less than a week in actually. But barbershop themed deck.
Barbershop. I haven't seen a barbershop in a long time, dude.
I know I need to get a haircut, so that's for sure. But this is what are we looking at here? Price wise, $17 shipped. Again, you're looking at the same price point for the previous deck and this deck. This deck obviously has a lot more design work that's gone into it. It also
And
is
it's $12, which
yeah,
is good. That's a good price point to come in at for a deck like this.
printed by USPCC.
Yeah.
Fulfilled by gamblers. Again, this isn't Darren's first campaign, so I think he's started to kind of figure out the basics of what you need for a successful campaign, fulfillment, printers, how to build your actual visuals out for your campaign.
Right.
He throws the specs right up top, perfectly done. You're not asking questions, trying to dig for any of the information that's actually important there. 2 variations on this one, the standard and the vintage. I believe the vintage is just a kind of a recoloring or a muting of the colors on the standard. I don't know if there's any difference in the courts or the cards themselves otherwise.
Yeah. I think I saw on his page that he posted a white version.
A white version. Interesting. Maybe
Yeah,
like
so I
a.
don't know if like that's like a stretch goal or what the deal is with that. I would have liked to have seen the white version with one of these because these are really similar color wise. I would have liked to have seen the two different colors.
I actually think I like the vintage version better. I know we just talked about this and how you're not a fan of the pencil kind of styling, but like I kind of like that in the vintage one. The one thing, and I know this is kind of a sell point of it, but I'm not a huge fan of ambigrams in general. I think they make things hard to read.
I
Um,
agree. And what does that say in the middle?
there,
That's it.
they're
Yeah.
they're the names in ambigram of the people on the card.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, this is a really personal deck. Um, which is cool for him. Like they're all like people in his life, which is kind of cool. Um,
yeah. See, I have like a tough time. Like that is an example of the
that's
amigram there.
Tiffany, right?
Yeah, but like it makes it harder to read than it necessarily should be. I don't think it detracts away from the design necessarily. I think more so than anything, like it wouldn't have been a personal decision for me to go with an ambigram, but I think he's tied it into the style of the deck well enough that it doesn't detract. Um, yeah, I mean, listen, I
You know what
like.
would have been cool is yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for that insight, Steve.
I
But
like the joke. I think the
I like
joke
the
is
Jokers too. I think they're pretty dope. I like the three of spades reveal there.
yeah, that's kind of cool. The cut card, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And there's the like limited edition. Maybe that's the white one you saw.
I don't
So,
think so. I think oh maybe the I mean it looks black to me, but
yeah.
I don't know what color the cards are.
Oh, so this is the gilded edition. So it's the vintage. Maybe it looks like there with the blue holographic gilding.
Yeah.
Did it mention which deck it is? Vintage edition. Yeah, the vintage edition. A lot. I think
Interesting.
we've been seeing a lot of holographic gilding lately. I could take it or leave it. I'm also not a huge gilded deck person, all things considered.
I think I'm a big fan of gilded decks. Like looking at them, I think they're very pretty. Here's my thing. A lot of people just take a color and throw it on a deck, and that's the end of it. But you can't just throw any gilding color on a deck. Um,
Yeah, it has to complement the deck itself and the art and the design.
yeah, so I think the gilding on this deck is a kind of hard sell for me. Just because, especially on that vintage deck, which kind of has no color on it, Um,
I
'cause
would have
it's
been
very like
like a maroon gilding to go with like the very.
that would have looked better because it would have like blended in with the deck. Go up one more so I can see the topic, the back. Yeah. Or even like a maroon probably would have been cool. Or that um yeah, I think
Yeah, because it's a
a
very
maroon would
vibrant
have been
gilding for a very subdued back.
yeah, they don't they're it's not cohesive basically. But I think it's cool he's offering a gilded deck.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, like I think from the point of view of he's done well with his goal. Other than like the gilding color choice, which again I think is a personal thing to some extent. Same with like the ambigrams. Like it's a well designed deck. It's a well thought out campaign. His price point, you couldn't ask for better. Like
Yeah, no,
he really
I
did a
think
good job with this.
yeah, I think he nailed it for sure. I would have liked to have seen a different color deck, and I think that the gilding would have looked better on the other deck, not the vintage one.
Yeah, that was a little more vibrant.
Yeah, like right. It's definitely I got
Yeah,
a lot more color on it, and I mean it would look a lot better on that deck actually.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
But well done. Congrats on the funding already, Darren, and good luck with the rest of the campaign. 23 days to go on this one. So
word.
yeah. So that actually brings us to the end of the Kickstarter recap for this week already. So Steve, which decks would you back?
Um, I would back. What would you back? And then
So
I'll give you my answer.
me personally,
I
um,
have to think a little longer.
no, and that's fine.
If I had a lot of money, if I had a lot of money, I'd back the Wolfram deck just because it has like it's more along my style because it's like a classy type deck kind of.
I just don't care about
Obviously
all
it's
the accessories it
way
comes with.
way too much money, obviously, so I would never back it. But um, I think style wise, the only style deck that is my style. All the other ones really aren't my taste.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of cool artwork in there for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Jason and Deck Idea. But yeah, it's just not my style. So if I had to back one, it would probably be
Wolfram.
Wolfram.
All right.
Wolfram.
So on my end, I think there was a lot of potential this week. The arena playing cards, like I would have backed at a different price point. I think that's actually one of the biggest things this week that was holding me
Which one
up.
was the arena one again?
The first one we looked at with the snitch on the back.
Right, the snitch.
So like I like the deck. I think it has some potential, but I definitely think they need to work out some of the specifics of the campaign. Um, Especially that one where like the second tier shipping was 54 euros. Like definitely get that fixed as soon as you possibly can, or make a new tier for that, because that's just going to confuse people. Add more tiers. You need to be able to offer more than one deck or two decks. People, if they want the deck and like it, they might want a half brick. Like, don't limit yourself to not having anything available. Um, I like Jason's artwork as well. I much prefer the Serpent deck to the Sandwich deck, but also like just because it's not my style necessarily. I liked the Pencil Skulls deck. If the price point was reasonable, I definitely would back that. And as much as I really do like the artwork of the Year of the Rabbit, like those Lunar decks, like they just don't. I don't know. Like I feel like you've seen one, you've seen them all to some extent. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I love that tuck box. I really wish that tuck box was cohesive to what's inside. That's today's
yeah.
word, cohesive.
So I think out of all the decks for me, the one that I personally would back, just style wise, would be the Pencil Skull, but not at the price point that it's at. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think both of us are like, we would do this one, but not at that price point.
it's tough because like there really was some great artwork this week. I think the campaigns really were on point, like especially the returning creators like Darren and Jason who have done this before. They know what they're doing. You can see how much they've refined from their first campaign to this one. Same with the Year of the Rabbit. I mean, they literally know what they're doing there. But the newer ones, the Pencil Skull, the Arena, just those in the color deck, those final like polishing touches that you have to put on your campaign to make sure everything's cohesive, that everything makes sense, and that you're at the right price point to sell are so crucial. So hopefully for all, those decks, they come back to it and try and figure out what they need to tweak either during the campaign, or if it doesn't fund, then, relaunch, and hopefully with a little bit of a better understanding of what the campaign requires.
Do your
So
homework, man.
yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, we've said it a million times, but I think that's one of the things that every week we see there's at least one campaign that just needs to step back and think about what they're really trying to achieve.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
that being said, we actually have a quick giveaway announcement. We're going to show the actual decks that were in our new logo, which for the 10 contestants who were part of the part 2 of the giveaway, these are your answers for what decks were in there. So good luck to everyone. Thank you for all the guesses, and let's take a look here. So first up on the left-hand side of the table in front of me, you will see the Oxygen deck by Elemental Playing Cards, the Mono Zero Blue Edition by Luke Wadey Design, the 5th edition Orbits Playing Cards, the House of the Rising Spades Cartomancer Edition by Stockholm 17, the Glyph deck by Paperwave, and the Purple Cherry Casino by Pure Imagination. And second up on the right-hand side of the table in front of Steve, you will see the Room 17 deck by Stockholm 17, the Grid Series 3 deck by Luke Wadey, the Ace Fulton's Casino Femme Fatale deck, the Oath Playing Cards Players Edition Arabesque deck in blue, and the Peacocks deck by Arcadia Playing Cards. And make sure to check our Instagram tomorrow. We will let you know who ends up winning the Brain Dead Mirrors V1 and Mirrors V2 decks. So again, thank you everyone for participating. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Kickstarter edition of Deckinaround. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week.